Hey guys, today we're going to talk about something called the adjacent possible. Now this is a concept from a book that I'm reading right now called Where Good Ideas Come From. I think it's really cool, I think it's a really interesting idea, and I wanted to give kind of a surface level overview of what it is and kind of just how it helps you think about the world. And so this is a little different from what I normally do. Normally I do a software tip about a very specific feature and a very specific application and how I use it and how you can use it to get more work done. But this is different. This is more talking about a concept. So if you like this, like the video, subscribe, and if you want me to talk about any specific ideas or apps in the future, let me know in the comments. I read every single comment. So let's go. The basic idea of the adjacent possible is that given current conditions, there are a set number of things that can change. There is always tons of potential, and sometimes we can see past these adjacent changes, but in most cases, the adjacent ideas are the ones that actually take hold. Let's take a look at an extreme example, which I think will help kind of explain the idea. We've got a single carbon atom here, right? This is the building block for all life on this planet. So let's say we have a carbon atom on the left and a human being on the right. We can all agree that if you get enough carbon atoms and other stuff together, you can get a human. But there's no way to go from a single carbon atom and skip straight to a fully functioning human. There are steps in between, trillions in this case. So when we talk about the adjacent possible, we're talking about what that single carbon atom can become. Maybe it'll connect to some hydrogen atoms and create methane, but it cannot make the jump all the way to humans or other complex life. But that's only part of the idea of the adjacent possible. The really exciting part of this concept is that as more things exist, the more possibilities are created. So if we go back to that carbon atom, we can extend some spokes off it, and those represent all the things that are possible to make directly from a single atom. Now, let's say it discovers one of those possibilities, like turning into methane. Now, methane is over here as well, and methane has its own spokes, or adjacent possibilities as well. And because methane has more going on, it's a more complex unit, there are even more possibilities adjacent to it. And of course, we still have all those undiscovered possibilities for the single carbon atom, so the number of possibilities grows exponentially as you move along. And I'll admit looking at atoms combining is a bit abstract, so let's get a little more practical. Let's take a look at recent technology. The smartphone is a great example of something that clearly represents the adjacent possible. If we look at the original iPhone specifically, we see a product that undeniably changed the world, but you can look at its component parts and say none of them were brand new. Touchscreens, gyroscopes, miniaturized CPUs, flash storage, and cellular data all existed before the iPhone, but the iPhone took those component parts and turned them into something new. The iPhone was not possible 10 years before in 1997, but it was possible in 2007 because the component parts were all there. And when you apply the adjacent possible to the iPhone, you get the iPad, which is a bigger version of the iPhone. You get the Apple Watch, which is a miniaturization that was only possible because of the miniaturization pushed for the iPhone. And not only are the adjacent ideas possible, but they were also understandable and compelling to customers. When an iPhone customer sees the Apple Watch, they can see how it solves problems that they have with their iPhone. And because the economies of creating an Apple Watch are reasonable, it's affordable. As such, we've seen massive sales for the Apple Watch, and you see them everywhere now. Now think about something like Google Glass, which came out years ago and was commercially a flop. Consumers didn't like it as it creeped them out and it looked stupid, and the cost of creating it was so expensive that the price to consumers was way too high. It just simply didn't do much and didn't show its worth. Windows tablets in the 90s and early 2000s are another great example of this. So when we look at something like Google Glass or early Windows tablets, we're looking at products that are trying to skip past the adjacent possible. We're looking at products that we'll call ahead of their time, right? These are products that weren't ready. They kind of saw the future, they saw a couple steps ahead, and they tried to do them now, but the systems in the world just weren't ready for them. But anyway, that just scratches the surface of what the adjacent possible is all about. This video is only a couple minutes long, so it should be a good introduction for you, but if you want to read up more on this, I'd really recommend looking up Steven Johnson's book, Where Good Ideas Come From. It's a really good read, and the first chapter is about this, and in the audiobook, it's over an hour of discussing this idea, so I really suggest checking that out. But yeah, if you liked this video, if you thought this was a fun overview, a fun deviation for the channel, hit that like button, go ahead and subscribe, and then again in the comments, let me know what you want me to talk about next. Thank you so much for watching.